What's good, you guys? It's me, your favorite mystical person on the internet, here with another video. For those of you who aren't new, welcome back. And for those of you who are new, welcome. Give this video a like, click the subscribe button to be updated on new videos, and here we go. In this video, I'm talking about witchy, psychic indicators in the birth chart. Understanding spirituality, I do understand that in a general sense, we are all spiritual beings, whether we're aware or unaware. What this video is going to be about, it's going to be about people who are more in tune with their spiritual side, that side of themselves that explores the unknown, the darkness, that side of themselves that that's really in tune with the magical side of life. I feel like we all have this capability. It's just some people are just not as in tune or even embrace this side of themselves. In this video, I just felt inspired to talk about us folks that are on more of like the side of magic and the spiritual realm and just really being in tune with that naturally. To be honest, I don't even know what I want to name this video, because I know like when it comes to like the idea of like witchy or like being a witch, I know it's like a specific spiritual practice, and I know not everybody considers themselves to be a witch, but witchy is just a term that I use to basically say like somebody that is just very like in tune psychically. They're very intuitive, and overall they're just very much so indulgent in the spiritual realm. So when I say witchy, I just mean it in like a general sense. But let's get into this video. I'm going to talk about one of the most obvious signs that somebody has the ability to be very witchy or psychic. Let's talk about the water signs. So the water signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. So if you're any one of these sun signs, naturally you are connected to that spiritual realm. And before I continue, I know just because you're either one of those water signs, that doesn't always mean like you are open to these things, or you've awakened that part of yourself, or even you embrace that part of yourself. Like I was saying earlier, we're all spiritual. It's just some people are unaware and some people are aware. There are very much so water signs out there that deny that spiritual side of themselves. Let's continue. So somebody having a very water dominant chart is another sign that they're very much so very spiritual beings, very intuitive, and very much so connected to the more spiritual side of life. Going back to the three water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, these three signs share a lot of things in common. Of course, they go about it in a different way, but something that they share in common is the fact that they're very much so in tune with their intuition. These people have really amazing psychic gifts, especially when they tap into it and they embrace it. These signs are representative of what it means to be very much so connected to the unknown. And when I say the unknown is basically the spiritual side of life, the side of life that's very just non-earthly. Somebody having any of these signs in their birth chart is an easy indicator that they're either very spiritual, very psychic. This is somebody that's just really, really detached from the practical side of life. When it comes to the idea of like witchiness or being a witch, an honorable mention is actually Virgo, because Virgo, especially when we're talking about the realm of tarot, in tarot, the Queen of Pentacles, not only does it represent all the earth signs, it's a card that is representative of somebody that's a witch. And basically somebody that's a witch is basically somebody that is a master of manipulating energy. Because when you look at the pentacle, a pentacle just symbolizes energy. A pentacle symbolizes all the elements which make up a spiritual being. Virgo is another sign in a birth chart that indicates somebody that is very gifted when it comes to magic. Okay, so this is somebody that's very skillful in earth magic. Listen, you want a good spiritual candle done, go ask your Virgo friend to go make you a spiritual candle, because they are very much so in tune with the elements of the earth. They're very much in tune with the different frequencies each herb represents. Virgos, they're very much so in tune with the earth in general. Virgo is another indicator in the birth chart that could indicate more so like being like witchy. They have some pretty keen psychic abilities because they're ruled by Mercury. And when we look at the symbol of Mercury, Mercury has a moon, like a crescent moon, on its forehead. That's like how the symbol of Mercury is drawn. And what it's saying is like, this is somebody that has a connection to the higher realms, and they know how to bring that information down and clearly and concisely communicate it to the masses. And what it's also saying is that that moon being on like the upper chakra area, the upper chakras are your throat, your third eye, and your crown. Specifically talking about the area where the moon is on Mercury's head, it's really showing that like Virgos or even Geminis, but I'm talking about Virgos specifically, they're very much so in tune with their third eye and their crown chakra. Like they have a very powerful third eye and a very powerful crown chakra. Mercury ruled people, oftentimes beings from the higher realms tend to communicate to them and send them messages so they could deliver it. So these people, like specifically talking about Virgo, but Mercury ruled people, so that could be Gemini or Virgo, they make very good channels, like good channels for information to come through. You know, these people tend to get a lot of spiritual downloads, and you know, they just know how to make sense of it. And I also wanted to mention too, when we go back to the story of Hermes in Greek mythology or Mercury in Roman mythology, he has the ability to go in between worlds. So the world of the living and the world of the non-living. And basically what he's doing is exactly what I was saying. Like he's basically a channel that delivers information from the non-living to the living and vice versa. Mercury ruled people, yes, they're very much so in tune with the spiritual realm. Another honorable mention is actually Aquarius. And I know you guys are going to be like, what, Aquarius? And it's like, yes, Aquarius. Aquarius is a very spiritual sign too, believe it or not. People like to say that Aquarius is like an air sign and actually isn't connected at all. But when you really look at the sign of Aquarius, why do you think it's called the water bearer? You know, Aquarius is connected to water. It's more so planetary water, celestial water. They're very much so in tune with the planets. That is like in a whole nother realm in and of itself. These people are very much so in tune with the frequencies and the vibrations. These people are very sensitive. When you look at the symbol of Aquarius, it looks like a frequency, and what that's saying is that Aquarius is very in tune with the vibrations of the collective. The symbol, it just reminds me of a radio frequency that you tune into, you dial into. So yes, Aquarius is up there in this list of people who have those psychic abilities as well. Having placements in the 4th, 8th, and 12th house are other indicators. These are the houses that are connected to the intuition, occult, magic, the subconscious, the soul, mysticism. People that have planets that are dominant in these houses are very focused on understanding and exploring some aspect of their soul or their subconscious mind, and even their past. The 6th house is another house that's indicative of spirituality. This is the house of the mind, body, and spirit. It's on the axis with the 12th house, the spiritual house. So there are spiritual indicators with the 6th house as well. Somebody with a strong 6th house, this is somebody that's very much so really big on their spiritual practice, spiritual work. This is somebody that puts their psychic abilities to use, especially if the 6th house is in water, or if it has the moon, Neptune, or Pluto in there. This is somebody that can work in a field that is very spiritual, so having to do with holistic healing or anything related to like spiritual work. You're like a priestess or something of that nature. This is somebody that utilizes their psychic gifts as a form of service. You know, they offer spiritual services. So yes, somebody with a strong 6th house, they are somebody that is very much so focused on mastering their craft in spirituality. So it could be candle magic, it could be some sort of like healing practice that they offer to others, whatever the case may be. This is somebody that is to be a master of the spiritual arts. So this is somebody that you don't want to play with at all. This is somebody that is on cue with their spiritual work. The next indicator that makes somebody very psychic is if your moon sign is in water, or if your moon is in water houses. This makes somebody that's very sensitive and, again, very intuitive. Their emotions are very much so in tune with the environment around them. So this is a person that could walk into a room and instantly they feel the vibes of the room. Like they notice even the smallest things energetically about the space that they're in. Like these people are very sensitive. And when I say sensitive, I don't mean like boohoo sensitive. If people are calling you sensitive, like really when you think about it, in a sense, yes, you are very sensitive because you sense things easily. Like just the smallest things, you pick up on it. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. So these people most definitely have encountered people telling them this, like, oh my God, you're so sensitive. And it's like, well, yeah, like I'm just very much so hyper aware of what's going on around me. Water moon people, they're very alert. Especially like say if you're like a Scorpio moon. Scorpio moons, they are very, very alert. I would even say on the negative side, hyper vigilant. Water moons, they're very much so in tune with the moon. Especially if you have a Cancer moon, of course, but like the moon cycles affect them very strongly. People with water moons, they have very strong downloads that come in, or like their dreams are very prophetic. They could have very vivid dreams, and you know, they could just receive a lot of insight in their dream state. These are often times where they get a lot of their psychic downloads, but a lot of the times it kind of just comes to them at random. Like they're always just being sent something, just some sort of feeling that they just get. Water moon signs are people that they oftentimes communicate with the non-living, whether they voluntarily do this or not. And a lot of the times it's the non-living communicating with them and just giving them all this information. These people make very good mediums. Very good mediums. Water moons, like if you wonder why like you're always seeing things, whether in your dreams or even for those of you that may have experienced seeing things in like real life, in real time, spiritual beings, they just feel very comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? Like they just love your presence. They feel safe in your presence. They feel like they could trust you. They're entrusted with the responsibility to also be a channel for the non-living as well. The non-living will often come to you when there's like an important message to be delivered to somebody in the living realm. That's always like somebody with water sign energy somewhere in their chart, but definitely water sign moon, they have this ability. So the next indicator is Mercury in water signs. So like I was saying earlier about Mercury with the Virgo and Gemini and all of that stuff, Mercury is naturally in tune with the spiritual realm. But in water signs, Mercury is exceptionally powerful, very powerful. These people are very perceptive, and these people have strong visions, okay? Because remember, Mercury is very much so connected to the third eye and the crown chakra. So they not only do they receive a lot of downloaded information, they're able to envision things. Like they have strong visions. Kind of think about like That's So Raven, you know how she had like visions? That's giving water sign in Mercury. These people just have this knowing. Mercury and water signs also make great mediums. Why? Because again, mediums are people who are able to channel different non-living beings and have them communicate through them. These people are very good at decoding things as well. So they're very good with like decoding symbolism and all these things. Other indicators that are honorable mentions are Neptune, Pluto, the moon, or water signs in either the 3rd or the 9th house. Specifically the moon in the 3rd house, ooh, that's very powerful. That's like information overload. Like, have you ever had the moon transit through your 3rd house? I know for me personally, like when I've had a moon in the third house transit, first of all, I can't sleep. And then second of all, like my dreams are very prophetic. Like I just receive all this information in my dream world. Somebody with moon in the third house, spirits are definitely just overloading you with a whole bunch of information. Moon in the third house just makes a very good psychic, you know. So if you're a reader, you read anything for anybody, you got moon in the third house, I guarantee you that your readings are always A1. Like they're just always on cue. You're able to just channel so much information. And then also the third house is already a very spiritual house. And again, if you guys haven't watched my video on angel numbers, go check it out. But basically, yeah, the third house is the house of the angels and how the angels communicate. Okay, so somebody that has water in the third house or any of like the spiritual watery planets in the third house, the angels are very in tune with you, and the angels are always sending you information. Water signs in the third or the ninth house, or even watery planets in the third or the ninth house, such as the moon, Pluto, or Neptune, you're basically meant to be a messenger for the spiritual realm, you know, to deliver messages to the community or even just the world at large. So you're definitely a very important person when it comes to assisting in awakening people in the living realm. Spirit selectively chose you because you are the best channel that Spirit could utilize in order to reach the masses in the living realm. Okay, so you're definitely supposed to do a lot of talking in this lifetime, especially when it comes to spirituality and things of that nature. I also wanted to say too, Neptune in the third house is another one where, wow, the psychic abilities are off the charts. Like literally, honestly, like your mind doesn't even operate in this realm. It's very similar to having like Pisces, like Mercury in Pisces. Mercury has a hard time in Pisces simply because Mercury is unable to communicate a lot of the information that it's receiving in Pisces energy, because Pisces energy is just very vast. It's just a whole lot. And it could be a whole lot to communicate. It's just hard to explain something to somebody when your mind is operating on such a high level like that. Like people are gonna think you're crazy. People will think you're crazy, but you're not crazy. You're just somebody that has a lot of knowledge on things that a lot of people with the average mind cannot comprehend. This is why Mercury is in detriment in Pisces. This placement is best for work related to spirituality or delivering spiritual messages. Somebody with Mercury in Pisces, they would do amazing when it comes to readings. Mercury has to do with delivering things, okay? And then Mercury is also linked to work. So this is somebody that would just do best in any type of creative, artistic, or like spiritual work. So let's talk about some aspects in the astrology chart that are linked to spiritual, mystical connections. So the first one would be the sun. So if the sun is aspecting either the moon, Neptune, or Pluto, this puts you in connection with very strong mystical forces. It's very similar to like your sun signs being in either Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Neptune rules Pisces. But the difference is between the sun signs and the sun aspects is that the sun signs, it's more so like expressed in like personality traits, because you know the sun is your personal expression, it's your personality. But when it is your identity, because the sun is also like your identity, when it's the sun being aspected by outer influences such as like the moon, Neptune, or Pluto, it gives a different flavor. So it's giving the flavor of like, these are influences that overall influence your identity and who you are. Sun aspecting Pluto, this makes you Plutonian. Pluto is in contact with the sun. This is somebody that is influenced by darker forces. Like, Pluto is a very dark entity. Pluto is representative of everything that is very dark, very intense. Somebody's sun being aspected to Pluto, the Plutonian forces surround their being and they have an influence in shaping their very being. So this is somebody that goes through a lot of transformation. They could experience a lot of identity crisis. The sun in astrology, especially when you're reading the astrology chart, it shows themes. So when sun is aspecting Pluto, it's already saying that the themes in that person's life is going to be surrounded by intensity, transformation, death and rebirth, sex, and all of these things. These very things is what really shape this individual and their life path. That's very much so the sun, your life path, your purpose. Same thing for sun aspecting Neptune. This makes you Neptunian. The themes of Neptune surround and shape this individual's life. You know, themes surrounded by mysticism, spirituality, sacrifice, and selflessness, and things of that nature. The sun shows your focus, what you identify with. When the sun is aspecting any of those more watery spiritual planets, it could show like you identify as like a spiritualist or a witch. You know, it could show like this is like a career path that you would most likely get into, or it could just show like this is a side of yourself that you're focused on in this lifetime. So the other aspects would be moon aspecting the moon, or Neptune, Pluto, or also Mercury aspecting the moon, Neptune, or Pluto. The moon aspects indicate a need. The moon has to do with your needs and what you need to feel fulfilled within yourself. When you have moon aspecting the watery spiritual planets, this indicates that you just have a need to connect with more of that side of yourself, as far as like the mystical or even like your shadow side and things of that nature. When Mercury is aspecting any of the watery spiritual planets such as the moon, Neptune, or Pluto, this indicates that you're somebody that learns about or even communicates about the topics of spirituality, such as like the occult, mysticism, and you know, all these different topics on spirituality. It could also indicate that you're very skilled at these things as well. So let's talk about Venus. So Venus in water signs. Somebody that has Venus in Scorpio or even Venus in Pisces, this is somebody that could indulge or even be attracted to mysticism, the occult, and things of that nature. They could spend a lot of time investing in these things, literal time or even money. These are people that could spend a lot of money on like candles or crystals or just different occult tools, you know, to connect more with themselves spiritually. Jupiter in Scorpio or Jupiter in Aquarius. Right off the bat, Jupiter in Scorpio is an indicator that this person has a lot of knowledge on the occult and they have a lot of experience on dealing with the dark side. Jupiter in astrology, it represents where you have a lot of knowledge, a master or a teacher, due to just studying and learning or even experiencing a lot of whatever sign the Jupiter is in. With Jupiter in Scorpio, they have a lot of experience with dealing on the dark side, okay? And these people could find themselves even teaching people about alchemy, transformation, and things of that nature. These people have a very high understanding of death and, you know, just the whole concept of death and the afterlife, and very knowledgeable on the more darker sides of life. Now for Jupiter in Aquarius, I would say an honorable mention, simply because Jupiter in Aquarius, they like to just explore a lot of different taboo topics that are very out of the box. Topics that people would consider weird or just very, you know, just not common things that people would typically learn about. They're not afraid to explore like topics that are just very unusual to people, and a lot of the time these topics have to do with like the occult or, you know, like alchemy or just different spiritual topics that seem very woo-woo to a lot of people. Jupiter in Aquarius, they're very higher minded people. So these people have a lot of knowledge on just overall how the system works. And when I say the system, just really how the world works in a general sense. Like, they have a very high understanding. And when I say the system, I'm just talking about like just the whole setup of just life, especially specifically life here on Earth. You know, they just have a lot of experience of what's really going on. So these are people who are very into like conspiracy theories and what's really going on behind the scenes with like the government and all of this MK Ultra and all of these things, you know what I'm saying? These people have a lot of knowledge on like aliens and celestial beings in general, like the planets and things. So it's just a very spiritual placement in general. This is somebody that is very spiritually wise. The last indicator that I wanted to share with you guys is the north and south nodes in water and earth. So that water-earth axis is definitely a big indicator that somebody is very psychically in tune, just very intuitive or just very spiritual in this lifetime, because the nodes have to do with your soul's path. Specifically, if the person has their south node in a water sign. The south node is what you've mastered already. Somebody having their south node in a water sign in their astrology chart, that's already a big indicator that this person is a master of the spiritual realm. They're a master of their psychic abilities. They're a master of all of it. All of the stuff that is unknown, impractical, that person has it. Why? Because they spent lifetimes doing it. North node in water signs, this indicates like this person innately has the psychic abilities and all of these things, and this part of themselves is destined to be activated. They gradually activate the more spiritual side of themselves throughout their lifetime here. These people are destined to be very powerful spiritually. Somebody that has a water north node, that's already an indicator that they're meant to be like a psychic, or somebody that's in tune with the occult, somebody that is a witch, somebody that is like a mystic, a shaman, whatever the case may be. They're meant to do something very spiritual in this lifetime, mastering their subconscious, their intuition, their psychic abilities, and, you know, just really just getting in tune with their feelings, their emotions, vibes, frequencies, and things of that nature. These things are destined to be a part of their soul purpose. This is how their soul is going to be fulfilled, and this is how their soul is going to essentially evolve, is through spirituality. That is all I have for this video. I hope you guys found this insightful and you enjoyed this. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in booking a reading with me, you can find all my services on my website, Cosmic Star Astrology. Follow me on Instagram to stay updated on astrology and tarot posts, and I will talk to you guys soon. Blessings.